Snap. So I'm live right now. Let me see something real quick. Let me see. Just want to ensure that it's showing myself live right now. Will my let's do a recap later. Let me see. Bet. So I'm live right now. All right, bet. Solid, 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 man. Okay. It's a little delayed on my draw. Okay, bet. What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Loso 2.0, per usual. Going live stream. Um, so let me tell y'all something, right? It first started with me, where I guess it will start with we were in Bible study, right, on Wednesday. And on Bible study on Wednesday, we were talking about the idea that we didn't have no solid foundation yet for what we had going on, right? There was no solid foundation as far as there was no solid foundation as far as when it came to whether or not we were what do we know about the Bible, right? So they were like, you know what, we're going to start from square one, right? We're going to start from like literally chapter one from the beginning, build a strong foundation for it, the Bible, right? And how to study the Bible, because I feel as though a lot of times people look at the Bible, but they don't understand, quote unquote, how to actually study the Bible, right? And I thought that was a huge thing that we talked about. And I was thinking, like, dang, I really don't know, in a sense, how to study the Bible, right? To be honest, I really don't. I really didn't, well, at the time, right? It's just, you kind of just go off of whatever, right? So we started a strong foundation. All right, the first foundation we started was actually getting a Bible, making it easier for us to understand, right? So I'm gonna type this John in the comments, right? This is the type of Bible you want, right? It's called, I put it in the chat. It's called an Amplified Bible. If you get an Amplified Bible on there, you'll be able to actually understand, the Bible, and it has like little notes to make it easier, right? So this is my Amplified Bible right here. This John thick, right? Like, and the joint I like about it is the fact that I got on Amazon. It's like this one was like maybe 60 bucks. 40, it was like 40, 50 bucks. So it has the little joints in here to break down the different chapters and stuff. When you actually open the Bible up, it has like, some study material in there, some things you can learn and stuff like that. Makes it understandable for you. So I want to first start off with Genesis, right? Genesis 1, right? Like I said. So this is the thing. First of all, I apologize for not going live for a while, right? I think it's been a couple weeks, to be honest with you. I know I made a promise to my followers to go live every single day. I had a lot of things going on. Right now, I'm currently in the midst of building a PC, right? So that um the live streams can have more, it'd be better quality. You can actually see the screen. We can go over some Bibles. I could put the stuff on the screen. We can look at some videos of some people breaking down the Bible. I can actually really get into it. You know what I mean? Um, so that's something that I actually am going to do, like, moving forward. I'm be honest with you, that's something 100% I'm going to do moving forward. I got a lot of the pieces for it, right? Right now I'm just building it. Actually, I want you guys to comment below. Is it better to build a PC or get a pre-made one? I want you guys to comment that below. Now, granted, I do game too as well, so I thought the PC would be fire for the gaming, but really, it's the midst of doing it. I got my keyboard drawn so far. So far, is what I got. Let me look at this drawing real quick. So far for my PC, I got the monitor. Got that joint set up right here. I got my mouse, keyboard. I got my I didn't get the webcam yet, but I did get a microphone. Um, I got what else I get? The mesh airflow case, got that joint. Uh, the modular power supply. Oh snap. So that I can do the physical tower. I got the CPU so far. I didn't get the cooler. I still got to get the cooler. Um, I still got to get the motherboard. Still got to get the RAM. Um, an SSD, the Windows 11 license, something called the Super, something like that. And then yeah, that's the only thing I need. I got 6 more things I got to get for my PC though. So I'm pretty excited about that, John. I ain't gonna lie. Um, Also, by the way, while I'm going through this, please live Q&A. You can ask me any question. I'm open book. I answer anything pretty much while I'm going through this stuff. But yeah, so I'm gonna get that so that way I can get you guys some better material, some better stuff like this. Right now I'm streaming off of StreamYard. Shout out to them. Um, Shout out to StreamYard and stuff like that. But yeah, so this is something that, like I said, I want to do each and every single day, breaking down some Bible stuff, right? So we're gonna start with Genesis, right? Oh shoot, I tripped that. No, I didn't. Okay, no. Got scared for a second. I thought I ripped down Bible already. But Bible's supposed to be beat up, right? So, first of all, Genesis, right? And this is what I like about these joints, this amplified Bible breaking this joint down for you, right? All right. So when it comes to Genesis, right? They said there's nowhere in the book of Genesis the author is named. So there's nothing that says that the author is named. Although the events of the book end 300 years before Moses was born, the rest of the Bible and most of the church historians attribute the authorship of the Genesis to Moses. So this is 300 years before Moses was even born. And we'll talk about who Moses is as we continue to go through these Bible study sessions. Um, it says both Old and New Testaments have many references to Moses as its author. So both early Jewish and Christian writers name Moses as the author. So they assume that Moses is the author of Genesis, even though it's 300 years before Moses actually was born. Um, so yeah, they just acquit it to or put it to Moses, right? Um, the theme after the initial story of the world's creation, Genesis, which stands for beginning, covers two basic subjects, God and man. God creates man, man disobeys God and leads himself from God. Genesis is the story then of the subsequent interactions between God and man that bring them back together into a right relationship. As such, the book points to the beginnings of the way of the change and restoration and of a new way of life. Genesis sets the tone for the rest of the Bible with clear teaching on following God's call, believing in his promises, and being obedient to his commands. The main character who dominate the story are the patriarchs Abram, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph. Okay, so it talks about basically how we have a fall from God, right? As you guys know the story, well, if you don't know the story, like I said, I'm saying as you know, assuming that you know the story, right? But no, we're going to start from the beginning and understand it, right? Study it. And honestly, I'm learning a lot of it too as well, right? So I actually am excited that you guys are experiencing this with me because a great way to learn something is to teach something. So that's something that I'm learning right now, right? The best way to learn something is to actually teach something. So yeah, and also if you're here too as well, new here, click the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, right? So, creation. In the beginning, God, Elohim, right? I'm gonna understand that a little bit. Created by forming from nothing the heavens and the earth. So, a big thing. God created. So, a lot of things is times people think that, he formed, right? There's a difference between forming something and creating something. Creation means forming from nothing. This is just showing the power of God. God can create something out of nothing. So I just want that to be a thought process when you're thinking this, right? God created something out of nothing. All right. The earth was formless and void, or a waste of emptiness and darkness was upon the face of the deep, primeval ocean that covered the unformed earth. The Spirit of God was moving over the face of the earth, hovering or brooding over the face of the earth. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light was good, pleasing, useful, and he affirmed and sustained it. And God separated the light, distinguished it from the darkness. So he separated darkness from the good. He said the good, light was good, right? Now, the thing I like about this Bible again is on the bottom, right? So even though there's like the verses right here on the bottom, it does even like a deeper explanation so that we can understand it even better. And that's why I was saying, like, I'm so, shout out to Pastor Al with the Resurrection Center because he told me to get this because now this breaks it down even better, right? So 1-1 creation. Biblical revelation begins with a simple, strong, and sublime affirmation. Instead of arguing the existence of God, It declares that the very existence of the universe depends on the creative power of God. The world we live in was created by God and belongs to Him. His absolute ownership requires our faithful stewardship of all things, right? So it's basically saying, like, for one, affirmation. And this goes to also personal stuff, right? So you have to affirm stuff. We were made in the likeness and image of God. So we have to affirm it. That's why in the morning when I'm doing my Bible study, right? Part of my 30 minutes of my Bible study, so 30 minutes of me, getting locked in with God. I'm doing prayer, meditation, um, reading the Bible, studying it, and then I'm also reading my devotional, but I'm also affirming, writing my affirmations down. I am the greatest motivational leadership speaker and coach ever. I am, an extraordinary athlete. I'm an extraordinary husband. I am a God-fearing Christian. Like I start to affirm these things every single day. So affirmation. All right, 1 1 in the beginning. No information is given to us about that happened before the creation of the physical universe, though John 1 1 speaks of this time. It is possible that the rise, rebellion, and judgment of Satan transpired before the events of this chapter. God. This standard Hebrew term for deity, Elohim, is the form called the plural of majesty of plural of intensity. In contrast to the ordinary plural gods, this plural means the fullness of deity or God, very God. Furthermore, the use of the plural allows for the later revelation of the Trinity. Boom. Again, locking it again. And by the way, another viewer, if you're new here, click the subscribe button below. Subscribe to the channel. Live Q&A. You can ask me any questions, anything at all, and I'm willing to answer, whether it's about the Bible, whether it's not about me personally, whatever. But again, the thing I like about this is it explained what Elohim meant. Remember, I told you when I was reading Genesis chapter 1, I was like, Elohim, I don't even know what that means, but it was saying that it's the fullness of deity, right? So it actually breaks it down. This is why an amplified Bible is fire, bro. 1 3, let there be light. These words express a principal theme of the Bible, God bringing light into darkness. Here, God produced physical light. The New Testament records God sending his son to be the light of the world, bringing release from the spiritual darkness of bondage to sin. In the end, there will be no longer be any darkness at all, and we will be face to face with the source of light. So, boom. Another thing too as well that you gotta notice, and I picked up too as well, because it's funny in Bible study, they were actually laughing at me because I was saying, when I try to study the Bible, sometimes I, use ChatGPT, right? You don't want ChatGPT to be your end all be all, is what they said. Totally understand that. But Pastor I was saying too as well that you can use it as a reference. It's a reference just like anything else, right? So on ChatGPT, they were talking about the idea that if you notice, God spoke first. Again, going back to affirmations. If you want something in life, you have to really believe it first. You gotta, visualize it. That's where the meditation comes from. But you have to speak it into existence. That's the affirmations, right? You got to speak it into existence. That's why people pray. Prayer is another form of speaking it into existence. Hey, thank you, God. I'm saying thank you in advance for these things, right? From God, right? But continuing, right? And God called the light day and the darkness he called night. And there was evening and there was morning one day. And God said, let there be an expanse of the sky in the midst of the waters, and let us separate the waters below the expanse from the waters above the expanse. And God made the expanse of sky and separated the waters which were under the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse, and it was so, just as he commanded. God called the expanse of sky heaven, and there was evening and there was morning a second day. And then God said, let the waters below the heavens be gathered into one place of standing, pooling together, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the gathering of the waters he called seas. And God saw that this was good, pleasing, useful, and he affirmed and sustained it. So good, said, let the earth sprout tenderness vegetation, plants yielding seed, and limiting fruit, bearing fruit according to limits consistent with their kind, whose seed is in them upon the earth. And it was so. Okay. The earth sprouted and abundantly produced vegetation, plants yielding seed according to their kind, and trees bearing fruit with seed in them, according to their kind. And God saw that it was good, and he affirmed and sustained it. And there was evening, and there was morning, and third day. And God said, let there be light bearers, sun, moon, stars, in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be useful for signs, tokens of God's provident care, and for marking seasons, days, and years. And let them be useful as lights in the expanse of heavens to provide light on the earth. And it was so, just as he commanded. God made the two great lights, the greater light, the sun, to rule the day, and the lesser light, the moon, to rule the night. He made the galaxies of stars also, that is, all the amazing wonders in the heavens. God placed them in the expanse of the earth to provide light upon the earth, to rule over the day and the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good, and he affirmed it and sustained it. And there was evening and there was morning, fourth day. Then God said, let the waters swarm and abundantly produce living creatures, and let birds soar above the earth in the open expanse of the heavens. Okay. So we just read a lot. I ain't gonna lie, that was a mouthful, right? And we're almost finished Genesis 1. And I'm kind of zooming past it though, whatever though, right? Um, 1:7. Again, Amplified Bible has the notes at the bottom. Separated the waters. The description of the upper and lower waters is somewhat mysterious. It has been theorized that it's simply a reference to the division between the water or the seas and the rivers on the surface of the earth and the water vapor, which is part of the atmosphere. So he's just, I think what they're saying is in this chapter, they are explaining basically how evaporation works, right? How the that cycle goes, it rains, it comes down, goes into the waters, goes to the ground, well, boom, whatever. Then it goes right back up, and then it's a constant cycle. So I think that's what they're explaining right there. All right. 11, 11, 11, 12. Seed kind. God not only created plant life, he also set in motion a process that makes plant life reproduce. Okay. That was pretty much a self-explanatory. Plant life. 1:14 for the signs of God's provident care for marking seasons. Some have mistakenly viewed these words as a biblical basis for astrology. The signs in the case relate to the phases of the moon and relative positions of the stars that mark the passage of time from the vantage point of Earth. The two words from a pair that may be translated seasonal signs. So I think that's just really just showing the different, signs of the seasons. He made the galaxies of stars also. This is a remarkable statement in the ancient Middle East. Other religions worship, defied, and mystified the stars. Israel's neighbors revere the stars and look to them for guidance. In contrast, the biblical creation story gives the stars only the barest mention, as though the writer shrugged and said, and oh, yes, he made the stars. Such a statement showed great contempt for ancient Babylonian astrology, right? So just showing, some astrology stuff again. Boom. Let's finish this joint right here. Okay. God created the great sea monsters, and thank you everybody for hopping on too as well. Continue to just get some Bible study in this morning, man. Get yourself ready for the day. I ain't gonna lie, this kind of pumps me. This not kind of. This actually pumps me up for my day. I'll be honest with you. When I get some Bible study in, um, and me but lock in on this joint, it get me turned up for the day. I ain't gonna lie. But God created the sea monsters and every living creature that moves, which the water swarmed according to their kind, and every winged bird according to his kind. And God saw that it was good, and he affirmed and sustained it. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful, multiply, fill the waters in the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth." And there was evening and there was morning, fifth day. And then God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures according to, limited to, consistent with their kind, livestock, crawling things, and wild things of the earth, according to their kinds." And it was so, because he had spoken them into creation. So God made the wild animals of the earth according to their kind, and the cattle according to their kind, and everything that creeps and crawls on the earth according to its kind. And God saw that it was good, pleasing, useful, and he affirmed it and sustained it. He's affirming everything after he does it. Then God said, "Let us, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, make man in our image according to our likeness, not physical, but a spiritual personality and moral likeness, and let them have complete authority over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, the cattle, over the entire earth, and over everything that creeps and crawls on the earth." Okay, so God created man in his own image, in the image and likeness of God. He created him, male and female. He created them. And God blessed them, granting them certain authority, and said to them, "Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, and subjugate it, putting it under your power and rule over it, dominate the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, and every living thing that moves upon the earth." So God said, "Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the surface of the entire earth, and every tree that has fruit yielding seed, it should be food for you. And to all the animals on the earth, and to every bird of the air, and to everything that moves on the ground, to everything in which there is the breath of life, I've been giving every green plant for food." And it was because he commanded it. God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And he validated and completed. And there was evening and there was morning, a sixth day. Let me just finish up on this chapter. There's only like a couple more Johns for it anyway. I think only like maybe one more verse. No, that was it. And that concluded Genesis 1, right? And then again, these notes about in our image. Since God is spirit, there can be no image or likeness of him in the normal sense of these words. The traditional view of this passage that God's image in man is a specific moral, ethical, and intellectual abilities. A more recent view, based on possible interpretation of Hebrew grammar and the knowledge of the Middle East, interprets the phrase as meaning as letting us man as our image. In ancient times, an emperor might command statues of himself to be placed in remote parts of the empire. These symbols will declare that these areas were under his power and reign. So God created humankind as a living symbol of himself on earth to represent his reign. The interpretation fits well with the command that follows to reign over all that God has made. So they're saying that before, back in, those times and stuff, people, whenever there was like a great warrior or something great or something like that, shoot, even in Philly. In Philly, we got freaking statue of Rocky Balboa there, right? Like him running up the steps and all this stuff like that, right? So much to the point where people can think Rocky Balboa was a real fighter, and he's not. But God put us as like his statues, right? To be like, yo, this is my land. These, these are mine. This is my territory right here. And we're in his likeness, almost like that's those statues. All right. And it says, fill the earth as subjugated. The word translated subjugate means bring into bondage. The harsh term is used elsewhere of military conquest and God subduing our iniquities. Since this direction was given before the fall, it appears that the need to subjugate the earth is not because of sin, because God left part of the arranging and ordering of the creation's work as mankind to do. Whatever the case, subjugate does not mean destroy or ruin. It does mean to act as managers who have authority to run everything as God planned. The command applies equally to male and female, right? Subjugating it, right? So again, this is our turf, right? Again, God's turf. He wants to put us over there. Okay. Now, that was like the first portion of it, right? But like I said, you got to do your research too as well. So I use this in order as a reference. Boom, read the Bible, that chapter, had the breakdown of it, had the notes of the little cliff notes type things at the bottom, right? And then after that, we had, where is it at? I will have ChatGPT then pull up my I'll have ChatGPT pull it up afterwards, right? And then where is it at? My apologies, y'all. It might be on here in this one. All right, the why behind Genesis 1, right? So when I was talking about the why behind this, John, right? I was looking and I was like, all right, so what is it trying to say? All right, from a leadership perspective, right? Order first. God had everything in order, right? He was like, oh, this is day one, this is day two, this is day three, day four, day five, day six. You have to be organized as a leader, but even if you're leading yourself, you have to be organized, right? How many times have we continued to say we're going to get something done and we don't get it done? How times did we, have this? But then there's direction and order too as well. I will say this, right? Me, like, pretty much getting a better understanding of my me getting not pretty much but me getting a better understanding of my the way I do things or whatever, right? um or the better that's the better way to do things. Me getting an explanation or idea of the better ways for me to make my routine. I decided that a lot of times I have like that list of like 70 things to do. Instead of doing that list of 70 things, I broke it down. I was like, instead of 70 things, let me put it into five big things, and these are things I'm gonna complete every single day. So having that organization, right? I already talked about the affirmation part of it. God, environments, right? He created the environments first. They were saying like he placed purpose inside the environment. So this again goes to show that environment is super, super important for you too as well. If I had a store that had so many, they had two good people and one dude that was bad. The one dude that was bad, I put him in there. He started to do better, but he dragged everybody else down too, right? Because he wasn't a high performer. So you have to be careful too as well, the environments that you go into. Obviously, you should be I'd rather be a small fish in the ocean rather than be a shark in a pond. You see what I'm saying? So go into your environment, be the person that, doesn't knows the least in the room, and that way you can grow too. Again, everything has purpose. Everything on life first. God put us on here for a purpose. Everybody has a purpose on this earth. So, understand what your purpose is and create that, because you can't do anything unless you understand your purpose. You have to work backwards like God does. Right. And then of course, rest just as much as you work. Right. God rested on the last day. He wants to show that it's like you have to work hard, but you got to play hard, right? And if you don't rest, right, you're gonna end up like me, where I got the flu and I was out for an entire week. And the entire week I was out. I'm like, dang, it's almost like your body forces you to rest if you decide not to. Right. But that's really all I had, man. Again, click the subscribe button below, subscribe to this channel, join all my live streams every single day, and then keep counting the day. Remember, winners win, losers lose, and guys pray for success like this. 2.0.